it is time to do another video about the car dealership. And this is not about bashing the car dealers. No, no, no. Today is a whole lot different because we are right here in front of these car dealers. And today we're talking about something that is absolutely crazy. So, on Monday was the last day of workers for more than 2,400 Stellantis workers at the company because they let him go. They fired him. They said the assembly plant is closing and in Detroit, and we're closing up shop. So this is this is just the new trend that all these companies are doing, trying to walk over the street not to get run over. Um, this is just a new trend that we're seeing, that all these car manufacturers are saying this is not we're getting rid of all these employees and moving manufacturing to Mexico. And when you think about it, like, oh, we're going to produce cheaper goods and then we're going to do cheaper cars. This is not the case. This is not the case. It is actually way, way, way more crazier than that. And today in this video, I'm going to go over all of this. So what am I talking about? Well, all these people that work for Stellantis, these workers have been let go. And this isn't because they did shitty jobs. No, it is because their management actually failed them. That's because their management does not know what the consumer wants. And they're like, what are you talking about? They want cars. Yes, but not the right cars. These cars that they're having on these lots are rotting away. And that's where the term comes from, lot rot. And how do I know? Because we're going to go to the Prestige Chrysler Dodge Ram dealer. And why are we going there? Because they're still selling 2022 Ram 1500 Longhorn, still brand new. And that is a super old car now. And when we look at financing, they have a term right now. They have a special offer for you. You can finance it for 4.9% and 72 months. So if you put that into the calculator, $67,760 in Nevada, zero down payment, the credit score custom, I didn't really add that into it. Then I did 4.9%, 72 months. Your payment comes to $1,187. So that is absolutely crazy. And why am I saying this? Because the Stellantis CEO, even though his company's fallen apart, making shitty moves, making moves that nobody in their right mind would do, got a 50% got a 50% pay increase. CEO received a 56% boost in total compensation. And I think that's absolutely crazy. I think, how do you get from failing a company to actually then getting more money? So the business lesson here that's learned is, you're not being paid of what you do. You're being paid what you tell your executives, your peers, your other people around you, how much value you do. And perceived value is sometimes received value. So as much as this guy goes on and talks about stuff, he's like, hey, I deserve this. And so he got it. And if I was there voting on his, if I was a shareholder, I would have said no, because I don't think he deserves a raise. I think he should be fired, actually, because we're not building these cars that American consumers can buy. They're building these fancy ass $70,000 trucks, these $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 cars that absolutely nobody can afford. And so now let's look at how much car prices have gone up over the last few years. So in 2012, a new car costed $30,000, and in 2022, it's almost $50,000. So it's probably good to say in about another few years, it doubled in price. And when we're going to look at all these cars at these dealerships, they're just overpriced, and how do you even make the payments? You cannot keep going like this. It is absolutely crazy when you're going to look at all these expensive cars. And almost got ran over because people here do not know what to do when pedestrians come. So all of these new cars that they've got on the lot, it's just absolutely bananas. Because I'm looking at it, I'm just looking at it and saying like, hey, all these cars that are so expensive for the common American to do. So while I'm standing at the light here, I'm going to tell you guys. So if you are an average American, average dude, you're making about $3,261 a month. That's what you're making. $3,260 a month. Well, if you wanted a nice car, if you want one of their GM or you want to get a Jeep or something, and you're gonna get that one that I just advertised at 2022 for $69,000, is your monthly payment is gonna be $1,200. So now I looked at what the average rent is. So the average rent is $1,500. So now you're almost gotta live in your truck because it's just not worth renting your house, because your house rental is only a few dollars more expensive than your truck is. And so if you combine your rent and your truck payment, you have $500 left to do things. 500 bucks. What are you going to do with $500? Nothing. You need side hustles, you need other things to keep you afloat, or a second job. And when I'm looking at all these Jeep Rubicons, I'm looking at all these fancy 4xEs. Got to make sure that I'm not going to get in trouble here because they do not like when you film. Here we go. Asking price. Asking price. Can you guys see that? $74,000. That's the asking price on this one. $78,000 on this one. $70,000 on this one. Yeah, they're all Rubicons, but $72,000. Now I'm not gonna go into the lot. This is a Villi. This isn't even top of the line. $62,000. So as you're seeing, this one is $63,000. This one is $74,000. This one is $76,000. So this one is $70,000. So you're seeing all these cars, 4xE, $76,000. And I know this is what the asking price is, and you obviously can negotiate down. And these ones, $2,500, don't even have a price tag on them yet. And I'm gonna be shocked to see what they're gonna charge you. But man, who can spend $67,000 on a Jeep on a normal salary? You just can't do it. You gotta be a tech employee to make that kind of money. Because everything else, if you're not making $100,000+, you can't finance these cars. That'd be stupidity. You'd be in la la land. And I know that they're gonna tell you something like, oh, it's an investment, you wanna feel good, you wanna do all these emotional purchases and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's stupid. It is absolutely crazy. That's why I'm still driving around in my 2019 Ford Mustang, because they wrote me, so I bring my car to Ford sometimes for service. And they said, hey, why don't you trade it in? I said, yeah, what are you gonna give me? Oh, we're gonna give you about $40,000 for it. And you should get the new one. And I was like, how much is the new one? The one that I wanted, same convertible as mine. They quoted me for like almost $70,000, something like it. 70, and then there's tax, registration, and it came to like $74,000. I'm like, it is double what I have right now. Is it double as good? No, I don't think it's worth double. And then they're like, well, it's nicer. And they brought out all the stuff. It's like, it's a new one. You get a warranty. You get all this. It's like, with $40,000, I can fix whatever I want. I can have it rebuilt probably for $40,000. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not getting all these nice key features. It's like, for $40,000 or $30,000, I don't need any of that. And it's just crazy to see that all these people have these crazy prices. And now, what is always one of the things that I love to do is I always love to calculate it based on of years of my life. So now you're like, what is that? So one of the things I love to do is I always love to figure out how much of my effort, of my life, do I have to put up, do I have to work for this? And I'm like, what do you mean? So, as you know, on average, we're gonna be about 82 years old. And if you're gonna buy something that's gonna require you to work 1 year to get that, is it gonna be worth for you to work a year longer when you're gonna be retired? So then you're gonna, all of a sudden, you're gonna decrease your time spent working. And I feel like in the US, everybody's like, oh, you gotta keep something, you gotta do something, and you can't just not work or do stuff anymore. And I say to that I say, what if you can do it? But instead of investing that money into the stock market, into some dividends, into rental property, you bought one of these. You bought one of these. And these are hella fun cars to drive. Hella fun cars. Sunroof, look at that, whatever they got, all of them luxury. You bought one of these. And you're like, I want to do that. And now you're working for a year extra or of your life. So imagine you actually having to be 65 years old, 70, and instead of retiring, you got to go out and work another year because you bought that stupid truck. And I get it, not everybody's in the position where they think like that and they're going to say, I have a family, I need to haul stuff around. Look at this. Look at this. This is a Jeep. This is a Jeep 2023, and it's going for $82,000. So when we're looking at 80 grand for a Jeep, $82,000, yeah, it's an SUV, but the average American, the household, doesn't make that much. So now and not everybody can be above average, right? So now every other person that walks into this car dealership cannot afford that car. So you already eliminated 50% of your customers because you can't be above average, and that's what it takes to finance one of these. And I don't think you should wait to buy one if you're gonna do it, because they're gonna go up in price. So if you're like, I'm gonna wait a few years, because Stellantis is one of these companies that's just gonna keep increasing price, and then they're just gonna sit on the dealer's lot till they can't anymore, until the company's gonna say, you know what? We need to close down because it is just not worth it. And they're gonna pull out of the United States. And then all of a sudden, we're gonna see companies like BYD trying to bring in cheap Chinese car, what American consumers need. And people are so mad about it. Oh, they're not playing fair. Do you think Stellantis is playing fair with these people that lost their jobs? No. So, easy way around it, call BYD up and say manufacture in the United States. I bet you all of these people that were working for Stellantis would actually trade in their car and get a BYD. And if not, let me know in the comments. But hey, if they said you're going to be laid off, BYD says we're going to start manufacturing in Michigan and we're going to start supplying people with Chinese cars, who would say no to that? And Stellantis doesn't have it in them to make smart decisions. So maybe we need a reality check and seeing that $80,000 trucks isn't what American consumers can buy. But it's not just trucks, it's everything. It is any kind of car that you look at has ridiculous prices to them. And yeah, they look nice, some Brembo brakes and all that. V8 sounds great and all. But it's at the end of the day, Americans need a cheap alternative option. They need something that can get you from point A to point B that isn't going to bankrupt you if something happens. And they got, 4-cylinder, push the start button. When did that start to be marketing tactics? 4 cylinders, 30. Look at that. A 2023 Explorer for $38,000. Now see, that is something that you can do, but it's still $38,000. And see, this is what I was thinking when Jeep came out with an SUV. I thought you can get one of these 2023 right here, one over, right here, the white one, for 28 grand. This is what Americans should be considering. $28,000. That is something that's doable. And Ford came out and said, the Ford CEO came out and said, every Raptor every Ford needs a little Raptor in it. So we have here, and everybody's like, we need a little Raptor in us. And it's like, these price tag of these Raptors are not doable. These price tags are not doable. So yeah, absolutely crazy. So you cannot keep going the way that all this has been going. So now, what are you going to do? If you are a consumer, what you got to do is you got to shop for what is good for your family. And I'm telling you, if you want one of these expensive cars, it's not it. It's not it. Stay away. You don't need it. Because if you're going to buy something that expensive, you're going to regret it later on in life. And my viewers are in their 40s and 50s and 30s. And I'm telling you, if you're going to get one of these expensive Sequoias, anything else, and you can't pay for them, or at least put a huge chunk of money down and have a huge income, then you're just going to be paying for it down the line. And if you're self-employed like me, I always have the ability to make more money. And I'm working on it. So I can always increase my income, or I could go the other way too. But one good thing is if you're self-employed, the trajectory is you make more every year, and you can kind of look at it as like, hey, I can hire somebody to 2x my income to increase profits from my company or do something. But when you're employed, a W-2 employee, and you're not working for a startup where it can go public, you do not have these options. So you're going to come up with the calculation that I said about working for a long time for just your car. And now the question for you is working for your car, is it worth to you if I put it in a way of, hey, when you're going to be 65, 70, do you want to work 1 year just for that car that you're doing today? Do you want to extend your working life or your working time for a year? Or would you rather drive around a cheaper vehicle and then say, you know what, a year earlier, I'm out and I'm just going to relax and go on a cruise or do some other stuff and not worry about it? Because that year, depending on when you add that year of you buying a car and paying that $1,000 a month, imagine adding that to a compound interest account or a dividend stock that grows and pays you dividends. And all of a sudden that takes off like that. And all of a sudden that $70,000 you've invested over 10, 20 years, it's going to be 200, 300. So it starts to compound. And as a business owner, I always look at the numbers. I always look at the numbers. And when numbers don't make sense, you just need to walk away. But not everybody thinks like that. And I know there's some math equations. If you want Teslas or something else, you can kind of do around the tax credit and all this other stuff. That's all good. But if you're not doing that, stay away. Stay away. Because you are no CEO that can just get a 50% pay bump because of it. And if you're making 60, 70, 80,000, you're right there where it's going to sting if something really, really happens to you. Because you're not that wealthy and you're not broke. So if you're broke and you're very, very rich, those are like, you're good. If you're really, really like broke and you don't have anything, they can't really take stuff from you. But if you're really, really rich, they also can't really take stuff from you. But right in the middle class is kind of where it stings. And so you gotta take control of your finances and do not let them sucker you in of buying it. So now I am back, and these guys actually wanted to sell me a new one, a D's, and said, why don't you trade this one in? And I said, why would I? Why would I? Have 9,000 miles on it. Looks fantastic. Why would I do that? It's perfect color. No scratches on the rims because Ali didn't curve the rims yet. So these are just my 2 cents. I love you guys. Let me know what you guys think about all this, and let me know.